You're listening to a special cut pet peeve on hostile environments by the Three Angry Giant Fans and a Jet Fan podcast. Check out our full episodes at Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Mikey, pet peeve?
Yeah, I got a quick one here because I'm kind of watching the Bills and Jaguars on the side here. And of course, you're watching the Jaguars.
Jaguars.
So I'm watching not really the game, just sort of the play-by-play tick by, and the win probability follows it. So
Yes.
I just want to mention that. So the Bills scored. They kicked off. Jacksonville got the ball with less than a minute left, so less than 30 seconds left, I think. And so they were at 99.2% to win at that time. Then Travis Etienne up the middle for 2 yards. They went to 89.9 for that 2-yard run.
Oh.
And then when they just decided to take a knee and wait to the half, it went to 99.4. So I don't follow the. I don't know.
This is awesome. This is like a real-time pet peeve as it's happening.
Yeah, as it's happening in real life right now. I'm sorry, it wasn't 89.9. It was 98.9. So it didn't fall like that much, but it went like it took almost a full point off for the 3-yard gain with 17 seconds left. I don't know. But my real pet peeve revolves around it. And I don't know what it was this weekend. And I was actually talking about it with Novak before. And I was glad to hear he noticed the same thing because I heard it a lot this weekend and it started to get under my skin as things tend to do. And it was just seemed like in every game, it just got mentioned. What a brutal place to play this. That was one of the toughest venues in the NFL, one of the toughest venues in college. I even heard it on Saturday. And I'm like, you know what a tough venue is? When the team is good and you gather 50,000 people who like that team together, that's going to be difficult. That's going to be a hard place to win a football game. When the team stinks and half the fans are there for the other team and there's no one's there, it's not going to be difficult. The building itself it's like I'm gonna feel like Hoosiers now. It's 100 yards, boys, one side to the other. It's the same width, and when the team's really good, guess what? Fans pile in there and they make a shit ton of noise, and that's just what you can't have one without the other. When the Giants are in the middle of this doldrum, go online and you hear people bitching about the fans. I'm like, what are they supposed to do? Jump around like idiots while we're being embarrassed? I mean, I don't understand. You just win games. And guess what? Giant Stadium becomes a pretty tough place to play. I'll bet. I don't know. I'm sorry I called it Giant Stadium. Met death. But I was talking about it before the game with Novak too. And it's like everyone picks on the fan experience, the atmosphere here at the Carolinas where the Panthers play. Well, I've been to probably more games there than any other single stadium. I haven't been to a game in the new in the Met Death yet. So 2 of the loudest games I've ever been to have been in that stadium. And one of them was a NFL playoff game against Dallas, and that place was electric. And the other one, which I have a similar situation to this. The other game was when Cam Newton came back. I happened to be there that day. And until the game started and they started getting their ass kicked, that place was magical. I mean, it was on fire that day. People were screaming at the top of their lungs. It felt like a playoff game. And then quickly it devolved into nothing. Same amount of people at the game. All the people there's just nothing to cheer for. When they get nothing to cheer for, they get really quiet. It's just what happens. I think, South Carolina, this will be my last, South Carolina for years had this reputation as this very difficult stadium. Well, every game I turned on, it sounded like a morgue in South Carolina. but when they win, that place is incredibly difficult place to play football, which they're doing a little bit more frequently this year and last. So, yeah, it's not about the stadium. It's not about all of our fans are old men. Just, I guarantee you give old men something to cheer for, they're going to be loud.
Yep.
Period.
And I think the most overused term in all of sports is hostile environment. Everywhere's a hostile, right? And now all of a sudden, the reason Mike and I talked about this because I knew where he was going to go because I heard it on the Vikings game. They kept on. Yeah. They must have mentioned it 20 times at the hostile because they do the skull chant. That's why it's hostile.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember Minnesota ever being like top 10 most hostile environments.
Yeah.
Come on, it's anywhere.
Most people are freezing their giblets off when they were outside.
Yeah.
First of all, I got a problem with a hostile environment being indoors. Also, like if you're in a dome.
Yeah.
If you're in a dome, no, I can't give the nod for the hostile environment. Even if you have turf, it's got to be grass. It's got to be cold. It's got to be dark.
Right.
You know what's one of the most hostile environments out there, and they don't have a great fan base when they're losing, is the Raiders. Because they have guys with spikes on it that will sit there and beat the shit out of you, but the team itself is bad, and they're not really like raging when the team's playing. As we saw as Carolina went into Vegas and dismantled them.
I think they lost that a little bit when they left Oakland, though.
They did. But even in Oakland, I think in Oakland, it wasn't so much a hostile environment because the team was good. It was a hostile environment because the fans were hooligans.
Agreed.
Yeah. Just a freak show.
The hostile environment. What's the biggest difference between a hostile environment and the friendly confines? Like the friendly confines is more of a baseball thing. The friendly confines, Fenway Park,
day game, great. The smell of hot dogs and it's friendly confines. Yeah.
They should mix those up. Here we are at the hostile confines of.
Yeah.
The hostile confines of the Polo Grounds.
Polo Grounds.
The Polo. To me, I would love to see the Polo Grounds in today because the Polo Grounds are basically like a 600-foot outfield, and everything else was like 110 yards down the line. So you just
bizarre.
They fit a field inside a stadium more than anything else. Cardone, pet peeve?